Key Lime Pixie. This is my content creation journey. In content creation, almost essentially as long as I've been alive. I was a theater person. I would sing, I would act, I would dance. I helped do makeup, I helped do costumes, whatever it took just to be around the theater. When you're first brought into a theater program, you often don't get leads. You often don't even get cast in a show. It was at that time that I was blessed to be offered a job in the costume shop. I was building costumes, I was working with Eva Foam, I was doing all kinds of things I had no idea how to do, and they trained me and taught me. Theater was my world, and it became my altar. For me as a Christian, this became how I worshiped, how I led my life, how I was able to minister to others and serve others, creating entertainment for the purpose of just an escape from this world, but also being a wholesome environment. I graduated college and I worked up and down the East Coast of the United States doing theater, performing, but I would post about my endeavors on social media. So social media kind of became a solace for me as I was exploring theater and performing professionally. However, then I got married. A lot of time running our social media for our business. We had a small business that did media. We did photography and videography, and that's how we met. We met at that wedding, actually working our respective jobs. Social media kind of became necessary for us to be able to sell our business. Fast forward a little bit to 2020. 2020, during that year, I had just been doing photography pretty much full-time with my husband. We had our son at that point, and then the pandemic hit. Really thought theater was what I was supposed to be doing, and I had been doing shows even after we had gotten married. It became really difficult with the pandemic. Nobody could go to theater. Nobody could be performing or rehearsing. It was gone. I actually started streaming June of that year. I ended up falling in love with video games, and I had been a gamer to some extent growing up. Never played any first-person shooters, never played any sort of really story games. It was a lot of, Mario and huge Pokemon nerd. Game Boy Advance SP was my jam. Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. Brilliant. Anyway, so I saw him streaming and I was starting to play games like Apex and things like that. I played Last of Us for the first time and I just fell in love with the stories that were in these games, and they almost satisfied a little bit of this itch of what theater was. Also become a totally crazy Disney family at this point. We went for a honeymoon and we gone multiple times with a crazy story of how we got annual passes for free. Save that for another time. I was creating content as basically a Disney influencer for a while. I had a Disney account and all these things, and that's where my focus was for a long time. And when I started streaming, September of 2020, I actually decided I wanted to focus a lot on Disney content. I was doing Disney cosplays, playing Disney games. That was my focus. I wanted to play through every Disney game. Creating social media for a few different companies. I was running their social media as a social media manager. And so it kind of came into two, being able to do social media, being able to do Twitch streaming. I was learning a lot about that part of it, even in 2020. It became a way to connect with people around the world that otherwise I would have never been able to connect to, as we were all holed up in our houses. A way for me to create when I couldn't get on stage anymore. Now, in 2021, and I actually went to my first Comic-Con. At this point, I had done a full every stream cosplay in October. That was like a thing for us. And then every month I would do one cosplay. Awesome Con in DC in 2021 became the first place that I wore my cosplay outside of the house. I knew very little about the world of cosplay, except that one of my bosses when I was working in the costume shop in college, she had taught me how to use Eva Foam from one of our shows because she learned how to do it through cosplay. I had no idea. I had no idea how amazing and immersive the world of cosplay was. 2021 was the year that I feel like, when I look at like the mountaintops, the highlights of my streaming career, the year that I fell in love with cosplay. It was the year that my community helped me to build my PC. I was streaming on a Mac. It was also the year that I experienced some real loss. We had our first miscarriage that year, and it was very hard on me. But my community loved me through it. Took a couple months off of streaming that year, despite all of the incredible victories we had, and my community was there. In 2022, as we continue our story, I found myself getting back into it, but then I was pregnant again. Community became some of my best friends during that pregnancy. That pregnancy was really hard. I was exhausted, but I even did my gender reveal live on Twitch with them through Animal Crossing, which is fun. And I'm just so thankful for the love and support and just the excitement that people shared in my life. 2022, I also took on my own job as a communications director for a church that I go to. And I actually was running their social media and I was running all of their communication campaign. I started doing a little bit more of sponsored posts on TikTok and Instagram. I was asked to support products that I didn't necessarily like or agree with. I just was doing it basically for the money at that point. And I felt a little bit like I was losing heart in the content creation. It started to become about how much money can I make rather than how can I make really good content and be true to myself. 2023, I spent a lot of time working on work-life balance, learning about myself and the things that were really important to me. I had 2 kids at this point. I was dealing really badly with postpartum anxiety. Now at this point, I was running social media for 5 or 6 different Instagrams, and I was starting to get kind of burnt out. Now here we are in 2024, and I'm on Twitch consistently again, and it's been a workout as I've been trying to just plan. So this year I have goals. I've started falling in love with baking, so I'm wanting to do more baking content. I wanted to show more of myself and my faith. Goal now is to add more spice, add a little bit of spice. We're gonna add baking content. We're gonna add my life back into my content and to pursue more music stuff. I'm still doing theater and running their social media in a lot of ways, but 2024 is gonna look like me. It's gonna look like vulnerability. It's gonna look like encouragement. It's gonna look like weakness in moments where my mental health isn't great, but it's also gonna show more of me, my family, my faith, the things that I like to do. And honestly, if it's a little bit cringe, that's okay. To support others, to support other streamers, content creators, whatever it takes. I just want to be a force for good. We often say that I'm queen of the misfits. I often feel that way, that I'm a misfit in a lot of ways, but I want to create an online community of people who are encouraged, they know how loved they are, and that they're never alone. Also, it is so much more fun to be weird and whimsical than to not be, as long as you're true to yourself. I suppose that's most of my content creation journey. I'm learning how to do more cosplay stuff and to continue to pursue that. I'm learning more about actually posting on social media consistently. I quit my day job. Now I'm getting more time to create. Creation is such a journey, and I am so thankful for everyone who supported me along the way. 2024 and beyond. Let's keep going and see what happens. See where the journey takes us, because it's certainly not where I thought it would be at this point, and I'm so thankful.